Let's just jump right in. That title, it's not an exaggeration, it's not clickbait, it's a literal fact. Right now, as you're listening to my voice and processing these words, your brain is physically changing. The big idea we're going to explore is that this whole process doesn't have to be random. You can actually be the architect. So, let me just ask you this straight up. Can one single, tiny, seemingly insignificant thought actually change the entire course of your life? I know it sounds a little dramatic, right? But stick with me here, because the science on this has a pretty mind-blowing answer. And here it is. This is our foundation for today, coming from brain researcher Dr. Laura Boyd. This isn't some feel-good philosophy, it's straight-up physiology. Every new piece of info, every skill you practice, every single experience, it all leaves a physical mark on your brain. This is the central, powerful idea we're going to unpack. So let's start with the how. How is this constant rewiring even possible? We're about to dive into the actual science of change, and trust me, it's even more incredible than you might think. The magic word here is neuroplasticity. For the longest time, the scientific consensus was that the adult brain was basically fixed, set in stone after childhood. Well, that turns out to be completely and totally wrong. Our brains are constantly reorganizing themselves, building new pathways. And here's the crucial part. This ability is not limited by age. Change is always possible. Dr. Boyd actually breaks this incredible process down into 3 stages. First, you've got these rapid chemical changes for short-term stuff, like cramming for a test. But for that knowledge to actually stick, you need stage 2, a slower structural change, where physical connections between neurons are actually altered for long-term memory. And finally, you get functional change. The more you use certain brain regions, the more efficient they get. It's a journey from a temporary effort to a permanent, hardwired skill. Okay, so if our brains are so adaptable, why is it so incredibly hard to change our habits or learn a new skill? Well, it's because there's a battle going on, and there are 2 major forces, one outside of you and one inside, that are constantly working against your best intentions. So let's start with that external battle. What do you think this number means? 40 seconds. According to research from Chris Bailey, when we're in front of a computer, that's our average attention span on any given task before we switch to something else. And get this, if you've got messaging apps open, it drops to 35 seconds. It's just a shocking picture of how fractured our focus really is. And this completely reframes the whole problem. See, we tend to think the issue is that we just get distracted. But what Chris Bailey argues is that distraction is just the symptom. The root cause is that our brains are overstimulated. We're not just passively getting pulled away from our work. Our brains are actively looking for that next hit, that little dopamine reward from checking our phone or opening a new tab. Okay, so that's the external battle, but honestly, the internal one can be even sneakier. This quote nails it. Those small negative thoughts we all have, I'm not good enough, or this is never going to work, they don't make a big entrance. They build up quietly, day after day, reinforcing pathways in our brain without us even realizing what's happening. And this slide shows you exactly how that works. It's such a great analogy. Think of your brain like a search engine. Whatever you type into that search bar, it's going to find results for you. So if your recurring thought is, I always fail, your brain will diligently scan your reality to find every single piece of evidence that proves you right. It's not destiny. It's just focus. All right, so that was kind of the bad news, but here's the turning point. The very same mechanism that makes us so vulnerable to distraction and negative thinking, neuroplasticity, well, that's also our most powerful tool for taking back control. So now let's look at how we turn all this science into an actual strategy. This right here is the absolute key. Dr. Boyd is crystal clear about this. There's no magic pill for changing your brain. The single best, most effective driver of neuroplastic change is your behavior. It's what you do. Action is the trigger. Your daily habits are literally sculpting the physical matter of your brain. So if behavior is the driver, where on earth do we start? With something this simple. The 2-minute rule is the perfect bridge from that big, complex science to a small, daily action. It's a tiny behavior that helps you fight procrastination and start building momentum, rewiring your brain for doing instead of delaying. That 2-minute rule is a perfect example of a small action with a big impact. So now, let's build on that idea and put together a full toolkit, focusing on 3 key areas where you can start applying these principles, like today. First up, your morning. How you start the day really does set the trajectory for the rest of it. These little behaviors create a sense of control right from the start. Making your bed, boom, that's your first win of the day. Drinking water kickstarts your system. Having a plan means you're not starting in chaos. Every one of these actions is rewiring your brain for a positive, proactive day. Next, we have to train the mind directly. Just like a muscle, it gets stronger with exercise. Whether it's reading a few pages, meditating for just 5 minutes to train your focus, or just writing down one thing you're grateful for, you are actively directing that brain search engine we were talking about. You're telling it what to look for. And finally, we've got to build up our defenses against all that overstimulation. This is all about protecting your focus. And you can start small. Cut just one digital distraction. Give your brain a break from screens before sleep. Take 5 deep breaths when you feel overwhelmed. And, of course, use that powerful 2-minute rule. These are all conscious choices to just lower the noise. So we've covered the science, the battle, and the toolkit. Let's just bring it all home. This isn't just about trying to be more productive or checking more things off of a list. It's about consciously constructing your own reality. Because where you choose to put your attention ultimately is what your life becomes. This is the crucial takeaway from Chris Bailey. If your attention is constantly fractured and pulled toward every little distraction, your life is going to feel chaotic and overwhelming. But if you can intentionally direct your attention using all those small habits we talked about, you can create a life that feels calm, focused, and purposeful. Your attention is your most valuable currency. And we'll end with this final, really empowering call to action from Dr. Boyd. This isn't a passive process that's just happening to you. You are the builder. Everything you do, everything you experience, every single thing you choose to focus on, that's a tool in your hands. So the final question really isn't whether or not your brain is changing. The question is, who's in charge of the change?